Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, I want to get with you and I want to talk about tax season. Tax season's right around the corner, right? And so a lot of us are going to be coming into a big chunk of money. Now, look, I'm a fan of not allowing the government to borrow my money personally. In other words, uh, when we get a return every year, what that means is that we're claiming more than we should. So, the perfect ideal situation in a perfect world is that I would prefer to have my taxes to where I receive nothing, but I owe nothing. Now, that's a perfect world. That doesn't happen very often. But what we can do is we can minimize the amount of money that we send to the government that we could be using to do things in our own lives. Because here's the thing, guys, we're basically allowing them to borrow a big chunk of our money for the year when we can be investing that, and that's what they're doing, investing that money and making money off of it. So we can be utilizing that to help our own self build more wealth, opposed to letting them borrow it for the year interest free. Okay, so now, look, I understand a lot of people like to use this as a forced savings plan. But if we get more intentional and we start handling our finances right, we don't have to rely on that and we can make that money work for us. Okay. So, all right. So, with that said, tax season's coming around the corner. And I know a lot of you are still going to end up getting big chunks of change for your returns. So, here's what I want to talk about is how we handle that money. How we handle that money is huge because again, it's a big chunk of change. So we can do some things with it. But here's the problem I think we oftentimes fall into is that we start putting dollar amounts to what we want to do instead of percentages. I think percentages, personally, this is the way I've always handled it. Of course, I haven't had a we get a bigger tax return now than we have before, and I need to make changes to fix that. And here's what we like to do with that: put percentages on it to meet the priorities that you have in your finances. Okay. So, for instance, right off the top with me, 10% for tithes. That's just my priorities. Okay. If you're a Christian, this is your priority. If you're not a Christian, then maybe the next thing in your priority list is, I don't know, maybe you have look, if you have debt, that's your 100% priority. All this money needs to go towards it. But if you're not in debt, then maybe it's a vacation. Maybe you want to put 50% of it towards a vacation. Maybe you want to put 25% of it towards Christmas savings for next year. And maybe you want to spend 25% of it right now for things that you want to do. But when we use percentages and we get away from dollar amounts, it becomes a lot easier to manage and we can get what we want accomplished with the money. That's the key, guys, is that every time we get a tax return, we have an opportunity. Okay. That is an opportunity. And we got to seize that opportunity and use it to the best of our ability. And the best way we can do that is aligning it with percentages. Those percentages should reflect our priorities, right? So look, this doesn't matter if it's $1,000. This matter doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or if it's $100,000 or if it's $1,000,000. Matter of fact, the more money it is, the more important percentages are here. Oftentimes, people have, I have a friend that's going through a lawsuit right now, and he's expected to get a big chunk of change. Okay, and that's important to use percentages because it can become very daunting to think about such a large number, right? And trying to figure out what should I do with it. Because there's the numbers that maybe you've never even come into before. These are numbers you've never seen before. And so percentages are extremely important, guys. They're extremely important to make sure that you, first of all, have a grasp. You're looking at 100% now instead of, let's say, $1 million. Okay. $1 million is a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me, right? And so I think $1 million is probably a lot of money for anybody. But my point here is that when you're dealing with a percentage, when you're taking 10% off the top, it's simple. It's $100,000 on $1 million, right? If you're wanting to put 25% of it towards something else, that's $250,000. Say you want to invest 25% of it, that's another $250,000. And if you wanted to, I don't know, use the rest for lifestyle, that's the remainder of the count. You know what? I'm done doing math in front of you guys because I've been called out. I think I'm done. All right. But anyways, so my point here, guys, is use percentages when you get a big chunk of change to align your priorities. When you use those percentages, first of all, it's telling you, it's forcing you to go to the drawing board and list your priorities, right? Like it's when you think about percentages, it requires you to first think about your priorities. And once you get those priorities right in your mind, Then you start putting them on paper as to what percentage you want to apply to those. Guys, it just makes it a lot easier, and it makes sure that when you get that money, that money is attacking your priorities. It's all about priorities, guys. We got to make sure our money is attacking our priorities, or we're never going to get where we're looking to go, right? Okay, guys. Well, that's all I have for today. So basically, what we're talking about here is if you get a big chunk of change, since we got tax season coming up, in any other time in life when we get a big chunk of change, maybe it's uh, you know, maybe it's something we inherit, or maybe we win the lottery. I don't know. The point here is that, guys, when we get big amounts of money, we set priorities on that money by using percentages. Okay? All right, guys. Everybody have a good day. Bye.